what is up, Crockxen clan members, fairy tale fans, and others who saw from the video. I'm SoresanCrockxen, and my voice is complete ass right now. I know, it's bad. I've been sick for the past couple days, so that's why I didn't have like too many videos out during the week, and I had to like cram as many as I could today. And so it's technically the third video that you're getting today. It's crazy, I know. I apologize. But anyways, let's get into it. Episode 4 of Fairy Tail Zero. I mean, let me just say this right now. I love the manga. Like, I don't think there was a single chapter where I was just like, this was garbage. I pretty much liked every single chapter in the manga. So, honestly, I don't expect to dislike any episode of, well, except if there's like, they do a filler one that's not so good. But I believe in Fairy Tail right now, so I'm not gonna judge, okay? I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, and if they do put fillers in there, and they already did last week, that is gonna be good, because last week's I love last week's filler. But this one, this is, like I said, there was always moments in the manga that I was just like, this is awesome, this is amazing, I wish I could see it animated. And this chapter, the one thing was what happened with Mavis in the bar. Now let me set up the stage. What's going on right now is that they need to get information on where Blue Skull is, right? They need to find out where the guild is located, which if you kind of got an idea of how the story is supposed to end, you should have already known where it was gonna be from the start. That's a thing you should already have in mind. They have to end up there at some point. So Magna Logia is the place where we're gonna go. Well, I'm gonna talk about. I mean that's in the end, so I already kind of spoiled the end of the episode. But the point is, they get to land, and they're in a port town where where they have the fishing community and all that stuff. And they're going there, and we get a moment. We finally get to see some backstory with Prex, otherwise known as Hades / Purahito. I'm gonna always call him Purahito because that's the name I always put him with. I don't care if he's called Press in this one. I didn't care when he was called Press in the manga. He is Purahito always and always. Okay? So we get to see some story with him. We get to see the other side of him. Because like one of the things I was questioning while I was reading the manga is how the heck did this man become freaking the second master? He's so closed off from everybody. And so Mavis is a genius. This is something that we know from her character in the original series. She's a freaking genius. Her mind just goes places that it's really impossible for other people to get to. And she's able to analyze Purahito strictly on his behavior because she read books on psychology and behaviors and personalities back in the island, and she's got all this knowledge up here, and she's able to analyze him, and she sees him as the kind of person that's very socially awkward, but is able to see and react to situations, always putting his best foot forward, always doing what he essentially thinks is good, which is why we probably turned evil for some reason. He saw whatever. But anyways, this is not the point. The point is she's able to, because Mavis decides to go with him to gather information while Seda and everybody else, they're going to go to the hotel because Seda found a hotel. By the way, I love Mavis in this. She was, the whole... it's one thing to read it in the manga and then one thing to see it animated. The whole... obviously she's a very ignorant girl to the outside world. So to see her get emotional and so just joyful over the simple things that we ourselves take for granted, like freaking flowers. We take those for granted. We take, like, candy. She didn't have candy. That's homemade candy. We take that shit for granted most of the time. She's over here enjoying it, happy. The town folks, just people walking around town. It's amazing for her. So obviously she's emotional and just having fun, and Purahito over here being a little scruff boy, doesn't want to talk and just mean face all the time. It's not there's a clash. So he's like, I know a place to go to gather information. Now, back then, I was like, well, usually in this type of scenarios, you always have people going to a bar. And they do end up going to a bar, but that's after what happens. You go to a park. There's people in parks. There's always people just chilling in the park. It's cool, you know, whatever. So what happens is, he's gonna ask people for information. And he goes to an old man, and I'm like, this old man's gonna get a heart attack because he's in his face and all that stuff. Which back, you know, I was like, okay, this man just, no, he is not he cannot be the intelligence gatherer of this group, because Jesus Christ, this man can't talk to somebody without being in their face with like this very serious look on their face, like they're gonna murder them. And so a bunch of other stuff happens, you know. He cut the tree in half, which scares a kid. He also saves a guy by getting in front of his cart and saying, hey, your wheel, well, technically Mavis had to save them. Like, your wheel messed up, and it's going to pop off because one of the screws is loose. And he's like, oh, dang, maybe I should get that fixed right now. And this old lady, or not the old lady, this lady comes, and he's like, sees a bee, goes into her dress, and then he, like I said, impulse, and he just pulls her dress up, and then he's like, they was like trying to get the bee out, and she slaps him, and he's like, are you pervert? And then that's when we get the analysis from Mavis. The little boy comes back and says that he thanks him for saving him, because the little boy was going to catch a bug that was on the tree, but the tree, it was already rotting, so it would have probably potentially killed the kid. And so he thanks him for saving him, and then they're like, well, no problem. And then like his mom wants to, you know, give them something as a thank you, and he's like, we don't need anything. And then Mavis like, well, we kind of need some information. It's like about a guild. He's like, oh, there's a bar, and they're like, oh, okay. So they go to the bar, just chilling. Purahito goes in, and Mavis pops out. Like, everybody's just staring. Why do they always do this scenario where somebody walks, like those scenes? They are always there. When the person walked into the bar, and the second they get in there, you know, people were talking and joyful and, you know, doing whatever the heck. And the second that the person goes into the bar, everybody's quiet and just stares at whoever came in the bar. Like, is that how everybody does it? Like, the first person in the bar goes in, and then he's just there, you know, having his drink, and then as soon as the second person comes, he's got to stop everything just to see who's coming in the door, and it just goes. Why is that a thing? Why do you just have to stop everything you're doing just because somebody came into the bar? Okay, what if it's just some random guy who needs a drink? Like, why do you gotta stare? I never understood that. It happens a lot in movies and stuff like that. So he goes in, and then Mavis pops out, and everybody's just like, what the heck? There's a little girl here. Like, what do you want, little girl? And we're like, we need some information. We're looking for the owner of this bar. It was like, oh, and then this other guy that's like sitting in the stool is like, oh, they're looking for you, boss. And they're like, we need information about Blue Skull and stuff like that, and blah, blah, blah. And this dude is lying his ass off, right? And I love how Mavis, like I said, I love Mavis. Like, she caught him in his lie. Because he starts talking about, like, he doesn't know anything, right? Even though he is in a bar that usually gets a lot of information, which is usually something that happens in bars in general. That people just bicker and just talk about nonsense and just all that stuff, right? Information is always going to be at a bar because somebody is going to say something, there's going to be gossip, and shit's going to be spilled. Somebody's going to know something. That's just the rule of life. So he's lying. He's lying his ass off. And he mentions how the fact that there's so many wizard guilds have been popping up left and right, and how he can't keep up with every single guild that keeps popping up left and right? And then Purahito's like, alright, I'm leaving. She's like, wait a minute. You liar. We never said it was a magic guild, wizards guild. There's different kinds of guilds. There's fighter guilds, there's trade guilds, there's guilds of this and guilds of that. You know something, don't you? And then he's like, dang it, and everybody in the bar just gets ready to like fight. And then Purahito freaking Assassin's Creed over here freaking switch, wrist blade, or something really a wrist blade. It was just, it was a blade, or like a point, or an arrow point with a chain, and he just swung that shit around, and everybody got their asses beat, and then the freaking, the douchebag, goes in, and he like pulls a lever, and then a magic circle shows up in the bottom because the floorboards turn over, and then he's like, guild, and he shows them he's Blue Skull, he's got a mark right there. And he just starts talking about, life and how he's there to gather information because Blue Skull is Dark Guild. They gotta get their business other ways. And he's over there just bragging and stuff like that. And Puerto's like, so you're like one of the lesser members? And he's like, yeah, wait a minute. Don't you try to turn what I said against me, bitch. And then Mavis is just reading this magic circle and notices there's a character that's completely wrong. And she's like, hey, I'm just going to walk out this magic circle. I'm going to show you there's nothing here. Because it was a fake. It was a mistake. And then he's like, what the heck are you? And she's like, I got magic too, alright, boy? And it was the funniest thing ever. She freaking summons a giant tiger dude. And he's like shitting his pants like, oh my god. He's like, you're going to tell me what Blue Skull is, huh? Right? Don't make me make this guy pouncy right now, okay? I'm being serious. And then obviously I knew it was fake because I read the manga, but it was funny. It's just like, it was fake. He's like, that's my magic. I create illusions. Oh my gosh, that was great. But they know where it is. It's in Magnologia, so that's where they gotta go. Oh my gosh. And then they, for some reason, had a cameo with Zedev, which I was like, that's the only thing I'm confused, because I don't remember Zedev being in this chapter at all. At all. I do not recall Zedev being... I might have to go back and reread it, but I do not recall Zedev being in this chapter. I know that he shows up when they're in the forest. I think I just spoiled you guys that there's going to be a thing in a forest at some point. Then again, I didn't say what's going to happen in that forest. So, don't, no. Anyways, the point is, I was a little surprised to see Zedev. Like I said, I'm probably going to have to reread that part of the chapter again. And maybe figure it out. But until then, I'm just going to be confused. But anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it there. My throat is actually killing me again. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching this review. The link will be in the description. I have been SoresanCrockxen, and I'll see you guys in future videos.